Hello and welcome to the second class of our course here, where I explain how to create your own new project script in After Effects with automation blocks. In the first class, we created this script here, which made a new project and then created the two bins, footage and pre-comps. And for the second episode, the plan is that we extend this script to set up such a folder structure. So first we want to show a little user interface that asks you for a project name, and then we create a folder for this project name, create an After Effects subfolder, store the project under this name inside of here. So let's get started. So let's first start with this user interface thing. Here in the user interface category, you've got this huge block here which can create a very powerful custom input dialog with all kinds of inputs. But we keep it simple for now. There are other blocks. This one just pops up a little message that you can type here. This one writes a message to the console, so it writes it here. And this here is a prompt, and this is what we need now. So I take it now. Let's just run it with the default actions. Actually, let me right-click here and say disable block, right-click, disable block, right-click, disable block, such that they are currently not executed, but only this one here. And if we run this, it shows me message and default value. And then I can enter something. And OK, that's it. So what we want to our message to be is new project name. And the default value, let's say, is my awesome project. Okay, if we run it now, it says new project name and my awesome project. Okay, now the question is, what happens with this value? You could do things like, let me enable this create bin block here for now again, and you could drag it here inside of this block. And if we now run it, and say whatever, then it uses whatever we entered here as the name of this bin, because we pasted it here. So you can see it created a name whatever. Yeah, okay. So in other words, this you can use this thing now instead of a fixed text. Say, instead of entering here a fixed text like pre-comp or footage, you could say use whatever the user enters. So ask you the user what to put here. Now, one important thing to understand now is that this project name, we want to use it on many different locations of our script. So for example, this folder here should be the name that the user entered, but also here the project file name itself should be what the user entered. Yeah. So this means we need to somehow save this for reusing it multiple times. And how you do this is with variables. Currently, the project has no variable yet, and we are going to create one. And we call this one project name. Once we did this, you've got 3 blocks here to set the project name, to change it. Changing makes only sense when it's a number, so you can like increase it by 1. And you can access it. So here you set the value, and here you access it later. We want to, at the beginning of our script, set the project name to whatever the user entered. And now we can use it later. Let's do this again. Let me just delete everything here. And now we use this variable project name here. Yeah. So just to understand what's going on, here we show the user interface dialog, the prompt, and we save it in the variable project name. And here we create a bin and use whatever is stored in this variable. So the variable is like something where you can save values for later use. If we run our script and say here hello, a folder with name hello is created. Yeah. Okay. Now, of course, we don't want to use this variable to create our bins. Let me actually enable all of this here again. But we wanted to save our project at a particular location. Okay. So we want to use this as a project name and as the path of the project. So what we therefore do is we first need to find a block to save our project. This is in the app and project category, of course. So let's see what we have here. We've got save project, which saves it under its existing name, and save project as file. This is what we need here. We want to save our project as a file. And this block works such that you can click here to pick the file name. So in my projects folder under my amazing project, I just choose here the existing file name. And if we run the script And now it asks me for the name here. You can see it is saved under exactly this location, My Amazing Project AE, My Amazing Project AEP, that I've picked here. Now we need to manage to use this project name somehow inside of here. So we want to say, don't take exactly the file I picked, but inside of this, replace the My Amazing Project by the project name. And I want to show you two different methods how to achieve this. In the text category, we've got blocks to manipulate texts. We've used this one here already several times. This is just a simple block to enter text, so like we've got here or here, yeah. And then we've got this block here, which is effectively the same, except that I can also enter multi-line texts. And now we've got here this create text with and the replace in text. We can use both these texts to achieve what we want to do, and let me first start with this one here. So this one takes a master text, so to speak, and then you can insert here placeholders like $1 or $2, and they will be replaced by whatever you put here. Yeah, it's like in this text, the $1 and $2 are replaced by something else. So we could copy this entire text here. I just copy and paste it here. And now instead of My Amazing Project, we write $1. And here, the file name, this was a folder, right? And here the file name, we also write $1 again. So it says in the folder users, my username, documents, projects, and then here we want to have whatever the user entered, $1. Now we can just take the project name and drag it here. And we actually don't need $2 at all. So we can just remove this here. So whenever a block has such a cogwheel icon, you can change its structure, remove or add parts to the block with this user interface here. Yeah, I removed the $2. So, and now we've got a text that creates our path here with the help of the project name. Let's test this script. So you notice I just took this original string here and replaced it by this one. If we run the script and say test project, for example, we get an error message. Let's see what happened here. The red error. Folder where project should be saved does not exist. The folder users, my username, documents, projects, test projects, AE. Okay, exactly. This project folder does not exist yet. What can we do about it? The easiest thing is to allow to create the folder if it's not existing. Yeah, we run it again. We say another project maybe. Okay, the script is done. And our file is saved as documents, projects, another project, AE, another project, AEP. And if we take a look at our folder structure, we've got here now another project with an AE subfolder and the project file, another project, AEP. To understand how we compose this string here exactly, maybe another way is easier to understand. I'm not sure. Some people find the one way easier, some people the other way. So I want to show you a second alternative. And this is creating the text with this block. Here it just puts the several parts of the text one below the other, and we need quite a few of those. So I just drag here more items in. And now we want to say, okay, how do we compose this text? Yeah, this is our projects folder, and let me get one block here. Text here. So this is the start of our text. This is the base folder where all my projects are located. Yeah. Inside of this, I want to have the project name. So I duplicate this here and put it here. And under the project name, I want /AE/. So I want a subfolder AE. And under this, I want to have the project name again. And under this, I want to have, let me just duplicate this to get another simple text input. Under this, I want to have .aep. Yeah. So instead of this one, we can disable this for a moment. We could also put in this here, if he likes this better. Now this says, okay, here's a project folder for all projects. Inside of this, we would like to have a project, a folder with our project name, then a subfolder AE, and then project name.aep as the actual project file. So the basic thing to understand here is that if you want to access a particular file, it's just a text, really just a path to this text. And you can use either this block here or this block here to create this path. Okay, so let's see if this is working. We run our script and say whatever project, and now our project is saved under whatever project AE, whatever project.aep. Okay, now we want to create some additional folders. Namely, you can see in my amazing project, I don't just had this AE folder here, but I also want to have a folder for final results and for footage. And later we might even want to import footage here. But for now, let's just create those folders. Okay, so we go to the files category, because in the files category we have everything we need to deal with files and folders. And one thing we have here is to create a folder. So we just drag this here at the bottom. And now we can actually steal this one here. We can say duplicate. Say under project name, we don't just want to create the AE subfolder, but also the final results folder. We don't need those last two. So we can just get rid of them. And we duplicate this entire thing here. We also want to have a folder /footage. Okay, let's run this script. One more test project. And now we can check. In one more test project, we now have all these folders created, and here our project is saved. Great. Maybe one last remark is we could also clean this up a little bit more and use another variable to store this path here. Since we use this path here and here and here, if you decide your project should not be stored in this location but in another one, you would need to update this text everywhere. And to avoid this, we can store this in a variable. So we say create variable and say all projects folder, for example. Yeah? And then we say set the all projects folder to exactly this. And then we use this variable, all projects folder here, duplicate it, use it also here, throw this in the garbage, and duplicate it and use it here. So this is just, instead of entering the same text many, many times and making it hard to edit it later, we just create a variable for it that we gave the name all projects folder. And then here we use this variable instead of entering a text. And now if you want to make it very elegant to change this folder, instead of using a normal text here, you could also go to the Files section and use a folder block. So the folder block is exactly the same as a text block, so you could paste this in here, but you have the additional convenience that you can click on this icon here. Let's say we just want to store everything directly in the Documents folder. Open, and then it inserts the path here. So this is just a file picker to populate this text here conveniently. And there's just one tiny little issue with this, and this is if you pick here a file, it does not append here a slash at the end, okay, which we have to add now manually, because otherwise here the folder and the project name, which is a subfolder inside of it, are not separated by a slash, yeah. Or otherwise, optionally, we could also take a slash here and insert it here in between, like this. Now here the slash is not needed. We just need to make sure that in between the all projects folder here and the project name there is a slash, such that all of this results in a valid path. Now that I think about it, I even noticed that you always have here the all projects folder, then a slash, and then the project name. And here I would need to do the same fix actually. All projects folder, project name, slash between them, and here also. So we could even improve it further to say we create a variable, my project folder. So here I want to store the variable. In this variable, I want to store the path not to the folder where all my projects are located, but the specific folder where my project is located. And this is actually all projects folder / project name. And then inside of here, we can just get rid of 2 of those elements, delete, and say what we want to have here is the my project folder. Yeah. So this is now a 2-step process. Here we create a variable for the folder that contains all my projects. This is then a variable for the subfolder of this specific project. And here we use this then to dive into even more detailed subfolders and files inside those subfolders of this. Yeah. So let me do the same here too. So here we just need one of those items, which is my project folder. And these names, of course, are entirely up to you, whatever makes sense to you, okay? And this is the final result of the second class. In the next class, we extend our script such that it also copies footage to our project folder. More precisely, the script will check if my camera is currently connected to the computer, and only if this is the case, it will copy all images from the camera to the project folder. Really cool. So that's it for today, and I'm looking forward to see you in the next class.